Ruby Sue, if you keep making a scene, I'll send you back to the countryside. Hearing my husband's cold threat, I looked at the delicate nurse in his arms and suddenly laughed. In my past life, I knelt all night because of those words. This time, I directly handed him the divorce papers. Zane Gu, I'm done serving you. Winter of 1976, in the compound of the Northern Military District, on a snowy night, I carried a pot of freshly brewed chicken soup, trudging through the snow to the infirmary. Sister Ruby, bringing soup for the commander again. The soldier on duty at the door greeted with a smile. I nodded and pushed the door open, only to freeze in place. In the room thick with the smell of disinfectant, Zane Gu was carefully bandaging a female nurse's finger. Does it hurt? I'll be gentler. His voice was so tender I could hardly believe it. That was Vivi Lin, the new nurse at the clinic, petite and adorable, with a soft, gentle way of speaking. Chief, I'm fine. You go ahead with your work. Vivi Lin's face flushed like a flower, her eyes filled with admiration. I stood at the door, the soup in my hands gradually cooling. This scene was all too familiar to me. It was from this moment in my past life that Zane Gu began to grow cold toward me. While showing her nothing but care and attention, later, he often didn't come home for days on end, citing confidential missions. Eventually, I discovered their relationship. When I confronted him, he coldly said, Ruby Sue, who do you think you are? If it weren't for your family's good background, would I have married you? At that time, I was pregnant. Because of those words, I knelt all night and ended up having a miscarriage. Later, Vivi Lin appeared at the military district ball as his fiancée, and I was driven out of the compound. I returned to the countryside alone and died in poverty and illness, by which time their child had already learned to call him Daddy. Ahum, I cleared my throat softly. Zane Gu turned around abruptly, and upon seeing me, his expression changed instantly as he quickly let go of Vivi Lin's hand. Ruby, what brings you here? I brought you some soup. I calmly walked in and placed the insulated container on the table. Vivi Lin looked at me timidly. Madam, I'm sorry. I accidentally cut my hand and troubled the general. It's all right. I smiled gently. Just be more careful in the future. Zane Gu frowned, seemingly a bit surprised by my reaction. In my previous life, I would have cried and questioned, would have been hysterical. But in this life, I just said calmly, the soup is hot. Drink it while it's warm. I'm heading back first. Turning to leave the clinic, snowflakes fell on my face, cold and icy. I didn't go home, but went straight to the post office at the entrance of the compound. Master, I need to send a telegram to the provincial capital. To whom? Su Jongwo, that's my brother. The regiment commander in the provincial military district. In my previous life, I never dared to contact my family, afraid of bringing shame to Zane Gu. In this lifetime, I want to tell them that I haven't been doing well. The telegram was simple. Brother, I want to come home to visit, Ruby. After sending the telegram, I walked home through the snow, passing by the homes of other military wives in the compound. I could hear bursts of laughter and the aroma of food from inside. And my home is cold and desolate, pitch black. Zane Gu is still at the clinic with his little nurse. Pushing the door open, the room feels even colder. I didn't light a fire, nor did I turn on the light, just sat in the darkness lost in thought. Zane Gu from my past life once said to me, Ruby Sue, aside from your family background, you have nothing, no education, no skills. All you know is to cry and whine. In this life, I will show him exactly what I, Ruby Sue, am capable of. Late at night, the door finally opened. Zane Gu walked in, bringing a chill with him, and paused in surprise at the sight of the pitch-dark room. Why aren't the lights on? Saving electricity, I replied calmly. He turned on the light in the dark, saw me sitting in the chair, and his frown deepened. Are you angry? No, not at all, I smiled. If you're tired, go rest early. I'm going to wash up. Zane Gu watched my retreating figure, feeling that something was off, but couldn't quite put his finger on it. While washing up, I looked at myself in the mirror. At 22, my face was still youthful, but there was a certain detachment in my expression that hadn't been there in my previous life. After being reborn, my biggest realization is, don't waste a single minute on someone who isn't worth it. Zane Gu returned to the bedroom after washing up and found that I was already lying on the far right side of the bed, with a pillow placed in the middle. Ruby, what do you mean by this? It's pretty obvious, I said with my eyes closed. We're sleeping separately. Why, you said I was annoying, didn't you? Now you can have some peace and quiet. Zane Gu was stunned for a long time. But in the end, he said nothing and lay down on the left side. That night, I slept very soundly. The next morning, when Zane Gu went to work, I was still asleep. I used to get up early to make breakfast for him, help him with his morning routine, and make sure his military uniform was neatly arranged. Today, I did nothing. Ruby Sue, he called out to me from beside the bed. I groggily opened my eyes. What's wrong? Breakfast. I'm not hungry. I turned over. If you're hungry, make it yourself. Zane Gu's face turned extremely grim, but in the end, he said nothing and slammed the door as he left. Listening to the sound of his departing footsteps, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. In her past life, Ruby Sue was too humble, giving up all her self-respect for a man who didn't love her. In this life, I want to live with more pride. At noon, I was reading at home when there was a knock at the door. Is sister-in-law Ruby at home? It's Zhong Shuhua, the military wife from next door. Her husband is a battalion commander, a lower rank than Zane Gu, so she's always been polite to me. I opened the door and saw that Zhong Shuhua was followed by several other military wives, all familiar faces from the compound. Is there something I can help you with, sisters-in-law? Well, Zhong Shuhua said with some hesitation, the regiment is coming for a morale performance this afternoon, and we need a few military wives to help prepare tea and snacks. You see, I would have agreed without a second thought before, and even taken on the toughest tasks, but today, I shook my head and said, sorry, I'm not feeling well and can't go. The military wives looked at each other in surprise, and Zhong Shuhua was especially taken aback. Are you okay, Sister Ruby? Do you need to go to the clinic? Nothing serious, I just want to rest a bit. I smiled politely. You all go ahead, I won't be joining. With that, I closed the door directly. Whispering could be heard from outside the door. What's wrong with the commander's wife? She used to be the most enthusiastic one. Who knows, maybe the couple had a fight. Impossible, the chief dotes on her so much. Listening to these discussions, I just sneered. Dotes on me? When has Zane Gu ever doted on me? At 3 in the afternoon, the performance began. I watched the lively scene in the courtyard through the window, feeling very calm inside. In my past life, I was always at the forefront of such events, exhausted to the bone. Yet Zane Gu never once said a word of thanks. Now that I think about it, it's really ridiculous. Halfway through the performance, my door was knocked on again. This time it was Zane Gu, his face ashen. Ruby Sue, are you crazy? He began questioning as soon as he entered the door. Why didn't you go help? I'm not feeling well. Where are you not feeling well? My heart feels uneasy. I looked at him. Seeing certain people makes my heart feel blocked. Zane Gu was left speechless by my words. Ruby Sue, what exactly do you want? What do I want? I laughed. Zane Gu, search your conscience and ask yourself, in the over a year we've been married, have you ever treated me as your wife for a single day? When have I not treated you as my wife? Then let me ask you, when Vivi Lin cut her hand yesterday, why did you personally bandage it for her? Logically speaking, as a nurse, isn't it normal for her to handle her own injury? Zane Gu's expression changed. What nonsense are you talking? She hurt her hand, and as her superior, I showed concern for a subordinate. What's wrong with that? Concern for a subordinate? I sneered. Then have you ever shown such concern for other subordinates? When Xiao Liu had a fever last time, I didn't see you personally taking care of him. That's different. How is it different? Because Xiao Liu is a man and Vivi Lin is a woman. Zane Gu was left speechless by my question. Ruby Sue, don't be unreasonable. Am I being unreasonable? I stood up, my voice calm. Fine, let's talk reason then. Zane Gu, starting today, I won't be your free nanny anymore. Wash your own clothes, cook your own meals. I'm tired. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat, it's a notice. I looked at him. Also, I've already sent a telegram to my brother. I'm planning to stay in the provincial capital for a while. Zane Gu's expression completely changed. How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? You're a military spouse. You have an obligation to cooperate with my work. Then tell me, what do I get in return for cooperating with your work? A few meals at home each month, or running to the clinic every other day? Zane Gu was left red-faced and speechless by my retort. Finally, he coldly threw out the words, suit yourself, and then slammed the door and left. I sat in the chair, not a ripple of emotion in my heart. in my past life, I would always cry and go to apologize to him after every argument. In this life, why should I apologize? I haven't done anything wrong. In the evening, Zhong Shuhua came again. Ruby, did you have a fight with the chief? She asked with a concerned look. Not at all, we're doing just fine, I replied with a sweet smile. But the chief looked very upset, and you didn't come to help this afternoon. Sister-in-law, I have a question for you. I looked at her. Do you think I should serve everyone unconditionally? Zhong Shuhua was taken aback. What do you mean by that? I am the chief's wife, not the compound service staff. Helping is a favor, not helping is my duty. Is there a problem if I want to rest when I'm tired? Zhong Shuhua was left speechless by my words. The previous Ruby Su was too easy to talk to, always eager to take on tasks and never refusing anyone's requests. Over time, everyone took it for granted. Now that I've stopped, it's suddenly my fault. You're right, Zhong Shuhua said with an awkward smile. We didn't think it through properly. You should rest well. After she left, I continued reading. This is a medical book that I borrowed from the clinic. In my previous life, I was uneducated and was looked down upon by Zane Ji. In this life, I will show him how smart I, Ruby Su, am. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Zane Ji finally returned. He saw that I was still reading and frowned. It's so late. Why aren't you asleep yet? Studying, I replied without looking up. What's the use of learning these things? To gain knowledge. I put down the book and looked at him. It's more meaningful than some people spending all day flirting with the nurses. Zane Gu's expression changed. Can you stop always imagining things? Me, imagining things? I laughed. Then tell me, where did you go this afternoon? The unit has something going on. What is it? It's confidential. Can't say. I nodded. All right, I won't ask anymore. Zane Gu thought I had compromised, and his expression softened a bit. But then I continued. Since you're so busy, I'll pack my things and go back to the provincial capital tomorrow. I don't want to be a burden here. Ruby Su, Zane Gu snapped. What exactly do you want? I want a husband who tells the truth, I said, looking at him. If you can't do that, then let's just go our separate ways. Separate? Zane Gu sneered. Do you really think you can find someone better without me? It's not important whether you can find someone better. What matters is leaving someone who isn't worth it. This sentence hit Zane Gu like a heavy hammer, leaving him speechless. That night, none of us spoke again. But I knew this was only the beginning. Early the next morning, I really started packing my things. Zane Gu saw me organizing my clothes before heading to work, and his expression turned extremely grim. Are you serious? Of course, I said, folding the clothes. I've already sent a telegram to my brother. And he wants me to return as soon as possible. For that little nurse, you're going to leave. I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. Zane Gu, you finally admit it. Zane Gu realized he had let it slip, and his face grew even more unpleasant. Admit what? I just think you're being too sensitive. Sensitive? I laughed. What's wrong with a woman being sensitive to her husband's unusual behavior? I don't have any unusual behavior, none. Then explain why you've been coming home later and later since Vivi Lin arrived. Why are you so particularly concerned about her? Why did you go to the clinic again yesterday afternoon? Zane Gu was left speechless by my barrage of questions. Half a day later, he finally said coldly, I am her superior. It's only natural to care about my subordinates. Fine. I continued packing my luggage. Since you care so much about your subordinates, then spend more time caring for her. I, as your wife, won't take up any more of your precious time. Zane Gu was so angry his face turned pale, but he couldn't find a reason to refute. In the end, he slammed the door and left, leaving behind the words, suit yourself. I watched his departing figure without a trace of reluctance in my heart. In my past life, I let go of all my dignity just to keep him from leaving. In this life, I will be true to myself. At noon, a military jeep arrived at the entrance of the compound. A young man in military uniform got out of the car. It was my brother, Su Jongwo. Brother, I ran over excitedly. Su Jongwo saw me and gave an affectionate smile. Ruby, did you miss me? I did. I hugged his arm and acted coquettishly. It's been so long since I've seen anyone from home. The military wives around us all looked at us with envious eyes. Su Jongwo is a renowned young talent in the provincial military district with a promising future. Come on, I'll take you home to have a look, Su Jongwo said gently. Wait, I'll go get the luggage. I turned back into the house just as Zane Gu came home from work. He paused for a moment when he saw the Jeep in the yard. "Whose car is that?" "My brother's," I replied calmly. "He's here to take me home." Zane Gu's expression instantly changed. "Are you really leaving?" "I always mean what I say." I was walking out with my luggage when Zane Gu chased after me. Su Jongwo saw him and his expression turned slightly cold. "Comrade Zane, Regiment Commander Su." Zane Gu forced himself to greet him. Su Jongwo looked at Zane Gu, then at the luggage in my hand, and frowned. "Ruby, did you two have a fight?" "No," I said with a relaxed smile. "I just got homesick and wanted to go back for a few days." Su Jongwo clearly didn't believe it, but with an outsider present, he didn't press further. "Let's go, Mom and Dad miss you." I got into the passenger seat and saw Zane Gu standing there through the window, looking terribly upset. The car started and gradually moved away from the compound. "Ruby," Su Jongwo asked while driving, "what exactly happened between you and Zane Gu?" "Bro, if one day you find out that your wife has betrayed you, what would you do?" Su Jongwo slammed on the brakes. "What do you mean? Is Zane Gu cheating?" "It hasn't gotten to that point yet, but it's already obvious," I said calmly. "There's someone else on his mind now." "Bastard." Su Jongwo's veins bulged with anger. "I always knew he wasn't good enough for you." "Brother, don't get worked up," I comforted him. "I figured it out. Forcing things never works out well. But you're already married, so what if we're married? If we're not compatible, we can just get a divorce," I said lightly. "Anyway, I'm still young. I'm not worried about finding someone better." Su Jongwo looked at me, his eyes full of concern. "Ruby, you've changed. Has it gotten better or worse? You've become stronger." He reached out and patted my head. "You used to cry whenever something happened, but now you're so calm." I smiled without saying a word. How could I not be calm? I've already died once. The car stopped in the provincial military compound, and I looked at the familiar front door with mixed emotions. In my previous life, when I married Zane Gu from here, I thought I would be happy for a lifetime. Little did I expect that, after going around in circles, I would return here again. Ruby is back. My mother, Sholan, hearing the commotion, ran out from the house. "Mom," I threw myself into her arms, and tears instantly welled up in my eyes. I had been strong ever since my rebirth, but the moment I saw my mother, all the grievances came flooding back. "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" Sholan patted my back with concern. "Did Zane Gu bully you?" "No," I wiped away my tears. "I just missed home." Sholan clearly didn't believe it but didn't press further. During dinner, my father, Su Guozheng, also returned. Seeing me, he was very happy. "Why did Ruby suddenly come back?" "Where's Zane Gu? He has military duties and couldn't get away." I lied. Su Guozheng nodded. "That's how soldiers are, they prioritize their work." During the meal, the family was happy and harmonious. But I could sense my parents' worry. They weren't foolish, they knew my return this time was unusual. In the evening, Sholan came to my room. "Ruby, tell me, what exactly happened between you and Zane Gu?" I hesitated for a moment, then briefly explained the situation. After hearing it, Sholan turned pale with anger. "That heartless man, how is our Ruby not good enough for him?" "Mom, don't be angry," I comforted her. "I've already come to terms with it. What do you want to do? You're a married couple. How could he treat you like this? But he has someone else in his heart. I can't just tie him down. Can I?" Sholan looked at me, her eyes filled with pity. "My poor daughter." "Mom, I'm not pitiful," I smiled. "Leaving someone who doesn't love you is a relief." Sholan wanted to say something more, but I stopped her. "Mom, I'm tired and want to rest." "All right, go to bed early. If there's anything on your mind, talk to me. Don't keep it bottled up." After Sholan left, I lay on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. What is Zane Gu doing now? Is he regretting, or is he relieved? Never mind, whatever he's doing, it has nothing to do with me anymore. From today on, I will live for myself. I had a very pleasant 3-day stay in the provincial capital. Every day, I chatted with my parents, helped my mother with household chores, and discussed current events with my brother. Life was fulfilling and peaceful. On the morning of the 4th day, while I was sunbathing in the yard, the sound of a car came from outside the gate. Sholan went to open the door and soon returned with a frown. "Ruby, Zane Gu is here." My heart tightened, but I remained calm on the surface. "Let him in." Soon, Zane Gu appeared in the courtyard. He was wearing a military uniform. his face haggard, his eyes bloodshot, looking as if he hadn't rested properly for days. "Ruby," his voice was a bit hoarse, "what brings you here?" I sat in the chair without getting up. "To take you home. I'm doing fine here. No need for you to pick me up." Zane Gu walked up to me, his tone somewhat urgent. "Ruby, we need to talk." "Nothing to talk about." I didn't even look at him. "You should go back." "I'm not leaving." Zane Gu's voice was firm. "Not unless you come back with me." "Then wait here." I stood up. "I'm going to help Mom with the cooking." Zane Gu looked at my receding figure, a pained expression flashing in his eyes. During lunch, Su Guozheng, out of politeness, invited Zane Gu to stay for the meal. The atmosphere at the table was awkward, with everyone silently observing each other's expressions. "Zane, how has work been lately?" Su Guozheng broke the silence. "Very well." Zane Gu replied briefly. "A new nurse has joined the group. I heard she's a top graduate from a medical school," Su Jongwo said seemingly casually. Zane Gu's hand noticeably paused for a moment. "Is that so? Young people should keep learning." Su Guozheng said indifferently. I lowered my head to eat, pretending not to hear anything. After the meal, Zane Gu volunteered to stay and wash the dishes. He Xiaolan watched his busy figure and softened a little. "Ruby, why don't you two have a proper talk?" "Mom, there's nothing to talk about." I shook my head. "We have different values. We can't go on." He Xiaolan sighed and stopped trying to persuade me. In the afternoon, Zane Gu was sitting in the yard waiting for me. I was reading inside the house, occasionally catching a glimpse of him through the window, feeling conflicted. In his previous life, he had never waited for me in such a humble manner. In this life, what has made him change his attitude? In the evening, Su Jongwo returned, holding a telegram in his hand. "Ruby, your telegram." I took it and saw that it was sent by the Northern Military District. The telegram was brief. "Ruby Su, return immediately. Urgent matter. Political Commissar." Zane Gu's expression changed upon reading the telegram. "What urgent matter? How should I know?" I placed the telegram on the table. Maybe someone reported me for leaving my post without permission. Zane Gu's expression grew even more unpleasant. It is a very serious matter for a military spouse to leave their post without permission. At best, they may face criticism and education, and at worst, it could affect their husband's career prospects. "Ruby, let's go back." His voice carried a hint of pleading. "No rush, we can talk about it tomorrow." I replied calmly. That night, Zane Gu made do with sleeping on the living room sofa. Early the next morning, he urged me to go back. "If we don't go back soon, something bad is really going to happen." "What could happen?" I retorted. "What could they possibly do to me?" "Ruby, don't be so willful," Zane Gu said anxiously. "If this matter escalates, it won't do any of us any good." "For us," I sneered. "Zane Gu, do you even have the concept of us in your mind?" Zane Gu was left speechless by my question. In the end, persuaded by Su Jongwo, I agreed to go back. "Ruby, if he bullies you again, just come back." He Xiaolan held my hand reluctantly. "Got it, Mom." Su Jongwo drove us to the train station. Before boarding, he whispered to me, "Ruby, if it really becomes unbearable, just get a divorce. Our Su family can always provide for you." I nodded, feeling a warmth in my heart. It feels so good to have family support. On the train, Zane Gu and I sat facing each other. He tried to speak several times, but my indifference stopped him. Finally, he couldn't help but speak up. "Ruby, I know I was wrong." I looked up at him. "What exactly were you wrong about?" "I shouldn't have cared so much about Vivi Lin." "And what else?" "And also," Zane Gu thought for a moment, "I shouldn't ignore your feelings." "And then, what else?" Zane Gu sounded a bit impatient. I shook my head in disappointment. "Zane Gu, you have no idea what you did wrong." "Then tell me." "Why should I tell you?" I looked out the window. "You know very well what you've done." Zane Gu was left speechless by my retort. The train sped through the night, the carriage quiet except for the rhythmic clatter of the tracks. I watched the scenery flying by outside the window, feeling very calm inside. No matter what I have to face when I go back, I won't compromise again. In this lifetime, I want to live as my true self. It was already 9 p.m. When I returned to the Northern Military District, the political commissar's office was still lit, clearly waiting for us. "Commissar, we're back." Zane Gu knocked and entered. The commissar was a middle-aged man in his 50s who looked very serious. "Comrade Ruby Su, do you know what mistake you've made?" "I don't know." I answered truthfully. The political commissar frowned. Leaving your post without permission, undermining unity, and you still don't know what you did wrong, commissar. I just went home to visit my family. What's wrong with that? Visiting family requires filing a report. Did you file one? My husband can ask for leave on my behalf. I glanced at Zane Gu. He agrees to let me go home. Zane Gu's face looked grim, but he didn't dare to argue. The political commissar looked at the two of them, his tone softening a little. Xiaosu, it's normal for young couples to have disagreements, but you shouldn't act on impulse. As a military spouse, you need to prioritize the bigger picture. Political commissar, what is the overall situation? I asked. Of course. It's about supporting your husband's work and upholding the image of the military. Then what should I do if my husband does something that damages the military's image? The political commissar paused for a moment. What do you mean? I glanced at Zane Gu. Political commissar. I want to report someone for violating military discipline. Ruby. Zane Gu's face changed dramatically. Report what? The political commissar asked sternly. I want to report someone for using their authority to sexually harass a female subordinate. The office fell silent instantly. Zane Gu's face turned as pale as a sheet. The political commissar looked at me, then at Zane Gu. This is a very serious accusation. Do you have any evidence, commissar? You can investigate. Recently, Zane Gu has been spending a lot of time alone with Vivi Lin from the medical office and has been showing her special attention. Does this kind of behavior align with military discipline? The political commissar's expression also changed. The military detests this kind of thing the most. Comrade Zane, how do you explain this? Zane Gu's lips trembled for a long time before he said, Commissar, I was just concerned about my subordinates. I meant no harm. Care for your subordinates, I sneered. Then why only care about her? When other nurses got injured, did you ever show any concern? Zane Gu was left speechless by the question. The political commissar's expression grew increasingly grim. Comrade Zane, tomorrow you will write a self-criticism report detailing the entire incident. Yes, Zane Gu replied with his head lowered. Also, starting tomorrow, you are not allowed to have any further contact with Comrade Vivi Lin alone. Yes, Comrade Ruby Su, you handled this matter correctly. A military spouse should indeed monitor their partner's behavior. I nodded. Thank you for your understanding, political commissar. After leaving the political commissar's office, Zane Gu's expression was extremely grim. Ruby Su, are you crazy? I'm not crazy, I'm very clear-headed. I looked at him. Zane Gu, I'm warning you, stay away from Vivi Lin from now on, otherwise I'll keep reporting you. What good does this do for us? It does good for me. I turned and walked home. At least I don't have to worry about my husband cheating anymore. Zane Gu followed behind me, wanting to say something but not daring to. When I got home, I went straight into the bedroom. Zane Gu stood outside the door for a long time, but eventually knocked. Ruby, let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said through the door. You should reflect on your behavior. I admit I was wrong. But you can't retaliate like this. Retaliate? I opened the door and looked at him. Zane Gu, I'm just protecting my marriage. If you call this retaliation, it shows you have a guilty conscience. Zane Gu blushed at my words. I have nothing to hide. That's good. I closed the door again. Since you don't, then just do your work properly and stop thinking about unnecessary things. That night, Zane Gu sat in the living room the entire night. The next morning, when he went to work, he looked haggard with bloodshot eyes. I see it with my own eyes, but I don't feel a shred of pity in my heart. How many times did I cry for him in my past life? Now it's his turn to taste the bitterness of pain. At noon, Zhong Shuhua came to see me again. Ruby, I heard you went to see the political commissar yesterday. Yeah, just handling some matters. I replied indifferently. What kind of matters? She asked curiously. Military secrets. Can't say. Zhong Shuhua was left speechless by my retort. In the afternoon, I went to the clinic to borrow a book. Vivi Lin looked a bit uncomfortable when she saw me. Madam of the Chief, she called me softly. Comrade Xiaolin. I nodded with a smile. Are you feeling better now? Much better. Thank you for your concern. That's good. I looked at her. Young people should be careful and avoid getting hurt all the time. Vivi Lin's face turned red. I understand. I borrowed a few medical books and turned to leave. As I reached the door, I glanced back at her. The girl was indeed very beautiful and innocent. in her past life, she might not have truly realized she was breaking up someone else's family. But in this lifetime, I won't give her the chance. In the following days, Zane Gu became very cautious. He came home on time for meals, took the initiative to help with household chores, and his attitude toward me became more polite. But I know, this is just a superficial effort. On the fifth night, he finally couldn't hold back anymore. Ruby, let's talk. About what? I put down the book in my hand. I want to know, what do you really want? What do I want? I looked at him. I want a loyal husband, a devoted love. Is that too much to ask? I have always been loyal to you. Really? I sneered. Then what do you call your concern for Vivi Lin? I've told you. It's just concern for a subordinate. Zane Gu. Do you think I'm a fool? I stood up. A man's concern for a woman, is it the same as a superior's concern for a subordinate? Zane Gu was left speechless by my question. Let me tell you, Zane Gu, I said, looking at him, I'm not that naive little girl from back then anymore. I know what love is, what indifference is, and what betrayal is. I didn't betray you, no. Then dare you swear that you have no romantic feelings whatsoever for Vivi Lin? Zane Gu's face changed, and he was speechless for a long time. Looking at his expression, I actually felt calm inside. It seems you don't even dare to swear it yourself. Ruby, matters of the heart are complicated, not complicated. I interrupted him. Either you love someone, or you don't. There's no middle ground. But we're already married. Marriage isn't a reason to be bound, and it's certainly not an excuse for betrayal. I looked at him. Zane Gu. If you've truly fallen for someone else, I can let you go. Zane Gu was stunned. What do you mean? My meaning is simple, I said calmly. You two are in love, and I wish you well. But please divorce me first. Divorce? Zane Gu's expression changed drastically. Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. I shook my head. I just want a clean love. Ruby Sue, do you know what divorce means? It means freedom. I smiled. No more having to watch my husband's mood, no more worrying about being betrayed. No more forcing myself to endure. Isn't that a good thing? Zane Gu looked at me, his eyes full of shock. He had never imagined that the gentle Ruby Sue would say such words. Ruby, you've really changed. Yes, I've changed. I nodded. I've stopped compromising myself. That night, neither of us spoke again. The next day, when Zane Gu went to work, his face was frighteningly gloomy. At noon, I was cooking at home when there was a knock at the door. I opened the door and saw Vivi Lin. She was wearing a nurse's uniform, her face slightly pale, and her eyes filled with grievance. Madam, may I come in and sit for a while? Of course. I stepped aside. Please come in. Vivi Lin sat on the sofa, looking very nervous. Madam, I'd like to talk to you. About what? About me and the general. Her voice was very soft. I know you've misunderstood. Misunderstanding. I laughed. What did I misunderstand? Chief and I really have nothing going on, Vivi Lin explained urgently. He's just been kind to me, and I never intended to ruin your relationship. I know. I nodded. You're a good girl. Vivi Lin was taken aback. Then why did you report it? I looked at her. Because I need to protect my marriage, but we really didn't do anything inappropriate. Not yet, but that doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. I said calmly. Vivi Lin, do you like my husband? Vivi Lin's face instantly turned red, and she stammered. Unable to speak. It seems you like it. I smiled. What about my husband? Does he like you? I don't know, you know. I looked at her. A man wouldn't care so much about you if he didn't like you. Vivi Lin lowered her head, tears welling up in her eyes. Madam, what should I do? It's simple. I handed her a tissue. Apply for a transfer and leave this place. What? Vivi Lin looked up at me. As long as you leave, all problems will be solved. But I don't want to leave. Then do you want to ruin my family? My tone turned cold. No, I didn't mean it that way. Vivi Lin was terrified. Then apply for a transfer. I looked at her. It's the best choice for all three of us, Vivi Lin cried. But I can't bear to part with him. Bear to part with what? A married man. I sneered. Vivi Lin, you're still young, and there's a long road ahead of you. Is it worth ruining your reputation for a man who doesn't belong to you? Vivi Lin cried even harder. I looked at her, feeling a bit sorry inside, but my stance couldn't waver. Go back and think it over carefully. I stood up. I'll give you 3 days. What if I don't leave? Then I'll keep reporting you, I said calmly. By then, your reputation will be completely ruined. Vivi Lin turned pale, stood up, and staggered away. Watching her retreating figure, I sighed. In my past life, I saw her as an enemy. In this life, I see her as a young girl blinded by love. But no matter what, I won't let her destroy my family. That evening, Zane Gu came home looking very upset. Ruby Sue, what did you say to Vivi Lin? Nothing much, I replied indifferently. We just had a chat. She came to me in tears, saying you told her to request a transfer. Yeah, I nodded. Isn't that great? Out of sight, out of mind. Why do you get to make her leave? Zane Gu was furious. She's a good nurse and shouldn't have to leave because of your wild imagination. Wild imagination? I looked at him. Zane Gu, is it normal for you to argue with your wife over a subordinate? Zane Gu was left speechless by my question. I'm telling you, Zane Gu. I stood up. Either she leaves, or I do. You choose. You're forcing my hand. Yes, I am forcing you. I looked at him. Is it so hard to choose between your wife and another woman? Zane Gu was silent for a long time before finally saying, I need time to think. Give you 3 days. I turned and walked toward the bedroom. Give me your answer in 3 days. That night, I slept very soundly. The next day, I went to the market to buy groceries and ran into Zhong Shuhua. Ruby. I heard the young nurse at the clinic is being transferred. Is that so? I didn't know. I pretended not to care. Everyone's saying she applied for it herself. Zhong Shuhua looked at me curiously. Do you know why? Maybe she just wants a change of scenery. I picked through the vegetables. Young people like to try new things. Zhong Shuhua wanted to say more, but I brushed her off. In the afternoon, I was reading at home when the sound of a car came from outside the door. Looking through the window, I saw it was the political commissar's car. Soon, the political commissar and Zane Gu entered the yard together. Comrade Ruby Sue, may we have a word? The political commissar's expression was very serious. Of course, I put down the book. Please have a seat, Commissar. It's like this. The commissar said after sitting down, Comrade Vivi Lin has applied for a transfer, and I'd like to understand the situation. What does her transfer application have to do with me? I asked, puzzled. She said it was you who suggested she do this. I did suggest it, I nodded. But it was for her own good, for her own good. The political commissar frowned. Commissar, do you think it's good for a young female nurse's reputation to be overly close with a married male superior? The political commissar was taken aback and looked at Zane Gu. Zane Gu's expression was very grim. I was protecting her. I continued. If the rumors keep spreading, her reputation will be ruined. You make a valid point. The political commissar nodded, however. Comrade Zane should also be mindful of maintaining an appropriate distance with female subordinates. Yes, Commissar. Zane Gu said with his head lowered. After the political commissar left, Zane Gu stood in the courtyard for a long time. Finally, he walked up to me. Ruby, you've won. This isn't about winning or losing. I looked at him. It's about right and wrong. She's really leaving. Zane Gu's voice was very low. Isn't that great? I can't bear to part with it, he suddenly said. Those words felt like a knife, stabbing deep into my heart, but my expression remained calm. I know you can't bear to part with it, you know. Zane Gu looked up at me. Of course I know. I smiled. When a man develops feelings for a woman, of course he'd be reluctant to let her go. Then why still let her leave? I interrupted him. Because I don't want to be a doormat. Zane Gu looked at me. His eyes filled with complex emotions. Ruby, I don't know how to face you. It's simple. I stood up. Either be a good husband to me, or we part ways peacefully. I don't want to break up. Forget about her then. I looked at him. From today on, I'm the only one in your heart. Can you do that? Zane Gu remained silent for a long time before finally nodding. I'll try. Not try. You must do it. My tone was firm. Zane Gu, I'm giving you one last chance. If you disappoint me again, I won't hesitate to leave. Zane Gu looked at my resolute expression and finally realized I wasn't joking. This once docile wife has truly changed. She has become assertive, principled, and has clear boundaries. And this change makes him both panicked and intrigued. Vivi Lin's transfer procedures were quickly completed, and she was reassigned to the provincial military hospital. On the day of departure, she came to say goodbye to me. Madam, I'm leaving. Her eyes were red, clearly from crying. Take care on the road. I said gently, work well when you get to the new place. Thank you. She bowed deeply. I know you did it for my own good. I nodded without saying a word. Madam, I have a question I'd like to ask you. What's the problem? Don't you really hate me? Vivi Lin's voice was very soft. I thought for a moment and shook my head. I don't hate you. Why? Because you haven't done anything wrong. I looked at her. Liking someone isn't a mistake. The mistake is liking someone who is already married. Vivi Lin's tears began to flow again. Madam, you are so kind. It's not that I'm kind, I'm just tired, I sighed, too tired to hate anyone anymore. After Vivi Lin left, the courtyard became much quieter. Zane Gu was in low spirits for several days. But he tried to act normal in front of me. He started coming home on time, took the initiative to do household chores, and became gentle and considerate toward me. But I knew he was still thinking about Vivi Lin. This makes me very tired and also disappointed. A month later, I received a letter. The letter was sent from the provincial capital, and the sender was Su Jongwo. Upon opening it, I found a photo and a letter inside. The photo shows a young man in a military uniform, handsome in appearance and with an extraordinary demeanor. The letter reads, Ruby, this is my colleague Fang Jiyuan, a surgeon at the military hospital. He has a good character and comes from a respectable family. He has seen your photo and is quite interested. If you're open to it, you could consider meeting him. Your brother. I looked at the photo, feeling a mix of emotions. Is my brother trying to set me up on a date? This means he already assumes that Zane Gu and I won't have a good outcome. What letter? Zane Gu's voice sounded from behind. I turned to look at him and handed over the photo. Take a look. Zane Gu took the photo. And his expression instantly changed. Who is this? My brother introduced me to a potential partner. I said calmly, a partner. Zane Gu's voice rose an octave. You're not even divorced yet, but we will get divorced sooner or later. I looked at him. It's good to get to know someone in advance. Ruby Su. Zane Gu's face turned livid with anger. This is betrayal. Betrayal, I sneered. Zane Gu, are you qualified to accuse me of betrayal? I never betrayed you. Then what about Vivi Lin? Nothing happened between her and me. Nothing happening doesn't mean she isn't in your heart. I looked at him. Zane Gu, do you dare say she isn't in your heart? Zane Gu opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing. See, you don't even dare to deny it. I smiled. Since you have someone else in your heart, why can't I make plans for myself? But we are husband and wife. Yes, we are still husband and wife now. I nodded, but that doesn't stop me from exploring future possibilities. Zane Gu looked at me, his eyes filled with anger and panic. Are you really going to divorce me? If you can't love me wholeheartedly, then divorce is the best option. I can love you wholeheartedly, Zane Gu said urgently. Give me time. I will forget about her. Time. I shook my head. Zane Gu, feelings aren't resolved by time. You either love or you don't. I love you, he said loudly. Do you love me? I looked at him. Then tell me, what's my favorite dish? Zane Gu was taken aback. What? I'm asking you, what's my favorite dish? This, sweet and sour pork ribs, he said uncertainly. Wrong. I shook my head. It's braised pork. Then what's your favorite color? Blue. Wrong. It's white. I asked several questions in a row, and Zane Gu couldn't answer a single one correctly. See, you don't even know my most basic preferences, and you say you love me. Zane Gu's expression grew increasingly unpleasant. These details aren't important. Not important. I interrupted him. Isn't loving someone all about starting with these little details? But we've been married for over a year. Yes, we've been married for over a year, and yet you know less about me than a stranger. I looked at him. What meaning does a love like this hold? Zane Gu was left speechless by my words. That night, we didn't speak again. The next day, I received a letter from Fang Jiyuan. The letter was short, but sincere. Miss Su, hello, I am Fang Jiyuan, and I learned about you from brother Jongwo. If you don't mind, I would like to correspond with you to get to know each other better. Looking forward to your reply. Sincerely, Fang Jiyuan. I look at this letter, feeling somewhat moved. A stranger shows more respect than my own husband. I pick up the pen and start writing a reply. In the days that followed, Fang Jiyuan and I began corresponding. His letters were well written, with neat handwriting and gentle language, always sharing his life and thoughts in detail, and for the first time, I experienced the feeling of being genuinely cared for. Fang Jiyuan would ask me what my favorite color was, what dishes I liked to eat, and what hobbies I had. Zane Gu had never asked these questions. A month later, Fang Jiyuan suggested meeting up. I hesitated for a long time but eventually agreed. The agreed location was a cafe in the provincial capital. I told Zane Ji that I was going to the provincial capital to visit my parents. He wanted to come along, but I refused. I want to be alone for a while. Zane Ji looked at me, his eyes filled with reluctance and worry. Ruby, can't we really start over? Start over? I looked at him. Zane Ji, do you think there's anything left between us to start over? We are husband and wife. Yes, we are husband and wife, I nodded. But you have someone else in your heart, and I have someone else in mine. Does such a marriage still have any meaning? You have someone else in your heart. Zane Gu's expression changed drastically. Is it that Fang Jiyuan? Maybe, I said calmly. At least he made me feel valued. Zane Gu's fists were clenched tightly. But in the end, he said nothing. I boarded the train to the provincial capital. The scenery outside the window flew by, yet my heart remained calm, this time. I'm not running away, but seeking new possibilities. When I arrived in the provincial capital, I went home first. My parents were very happy to see me. Ruby, you've lost weight again, he Xiaolan said with concern, gently touching my face. I'm too tired from work. I told a lie. Where's Zane Ji? Why didn't he come with you? Su Guozheng asked. He's tied up with military duties and couldn't get away. My parents exchanged a glance and didn't ask any further. In the afternoon, I went to the agreed-upon cafe. Fang Jiyuan was already there, sitting by the window waiting for me. He was even more handsome than in the photos, refined and elegant, clearly someone with a good upbringing. Miss Su, he stood up and greeted me politely. Dr. Fang, I smiled and sat down. Just call me Jiyuan, he said gently. You're even prettier than in the photos. I blushed slightly. Thank you. We talked for a long time, from work to hobbies, from ideals to reality. Fang Jiyuan is knowledgeable, articulate, and an excellent listener. He listened to me attentively, nodding in response from time to time, his eyes filled with focus and gentleness. The feeling of being taken seriously almost brought me to tears. Ruby, may I call you that? Fang Jiyuan asked softly. Of course. Jiongwo told me about your situation. His tone was gentle. I know you're not divorced yet, but I'm willing to wait for you. My heart warmed. Jiyuan. Why are you willing to wait for a married woman? Because I believe that someone worth it is worth waiting for. He looked at me, and I can sense that you're not happy. I lowered my head, tears almost welling up in my eyes. Yes, I am indeed unhappy. My marriage with Zane Ji has left me feeling exhausted and hopeless. Ruby, if you're willing, we can take our time getting to know each other. Fang Jiyuan reached out and gently held my hand. I'm in no hurry. Time will prove everything. At that moment, I felt a long-lost warmth. It was already 3 days later when I returned to the northern military district. Zane Ji was waiting for me at the entrance of the compound. Seeing me get out of the car, he quickly walked over. You're back. His voice was a bit choked up. I responded indifferently. How have you been doing in the provincial capital? I'm doing well. Zane Ji wanted to ask something, but seeing my indifferent expression, he ended up saying nothing. When I got home, I started packing my things. What are you doing? Zane Ji asked nervously, sorting out some unused items. I folded some clothes, getting them ready to donate to those in need. Zane Ji watched my movements, growing increasingly anxious. Ruby, have you met that Fang Jiyuan yet? I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. I have. How are you feeling? Very well. I continued organizing my things. He's a very good person, better than me. I looked up at him. Zane Ji. What do you think? Zane Gu's face turned pale. Ruby, I know I haven't done well before, but please give me another chance. Another chance. I put down the clothes in my hands. Zane Ji, I've given you many chances already. This time is different. I'm serious. Serious. I sneered. When have you ever not been serious? The problem is, your seriousness only lasts for 3 minutes. Zane Ji was left speechless by my words. Indeed, over the past month, he has been trying hard to show effort. But I could sense his reluctance. He was suppressing his longing for Vivi Lin, forcing himself to be good to me. What is the meaning of such feelings? Ruby, I admit I still think of her, but I will try to forget. Try to forget. I looked at him. Does love require effort to forget? If you truly love me, do you still need to try to forget someone else? Zane Ji opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing. Zane Ji, I'm tired. I sat on the edge of the bed. I don't want to keep up this fake marriage anymore. What do you mean fake? We're legally married, but with no emotional foundation. I looked at him. You have someone else in your heart, And so do I. What's the point of staying in this kind of marriage? Have you really fallen for that Fang Jiyuan? I was silent for a moment, then nodded. Maybe. Zane Gu's face turned ashen. You've only known each other for a few days. Yeah, just a few days. I smiled. But in these few days, he's shown me more care than you have in a whole year. Those words hit Zane Jiyu like a heavy hammer. Striking deep into his heart, he staggered back a few steps and slumped into the chair. Ruby, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Yes, you were wrong. I looked at him. But what's missed is missed. Some things, once lost, can never be found again. What things? My love for you, I said calmly. Zane Jiyu, I once loved you so much, willing to do anything for you, but you took my love for granted and treated my efforts as cheap service. Zane Gu's eyes reddened. I know I don't deserve your love. Yes, you don't, I interrupted him. So I'm going to give my love to someone who deserves it. That night, Zane Jiyu cried all night in the living room. I saw his figure through the crack in the door, and felt not a trace of pity in my heart. Some pain is self-inflicted. The next morning, Zane Jiyu did not go to work. He sat in the living room, his eyes swollen, his beard unkempt, looking utterly haggard. Ruby, let's talk. His voice was hoarse. About what? About our future. We have no future, I said calmly. Zane Jiyu, face reality. I won't accept it. He suddenly became agitated. I won't accept that you've fallen for someone else. You don't accept it, I sneered. Then do you accept that you've fallen in love with someone else? I haven't fallen in love with her. You haven't. I looked at him. Then why were you so sad for so long when she left? Why are you still thinking about her now? Zane Jiyu was left speechless by my questions. Zane Jiyu, one should be honest. I looked at him. At least be honest with yourself. Fine. I admit I have feelings for her. Zane Jiyu finally told the truth, but I can control it. I can give her up for you. Control. Give up. I shook my head. Love isn't like that. True love is natural. It doesn't require control or sacrifice. Then what you feel for that Fang Jiyuan is natural. Yes, I nodded. With him, I feel relaxed and happy. I don't have to worry about being ignored or betrayed. Zane Gu's face grew increasingly grim. Ruby, I'm begging you. Give me another chance. I've already given you a chance. I stood up. Now, I want to fight for my own happiness. What do you mean? I want a divorce with you. I looked at him, and then be with Jiyuan. No, Zane Jiyu stood up abruptly. I don't agree to the divorce. Don't agree. I sneered. Zane Jiyu, this is my right. I don't need your agreement. I am your husband. I have the right to disagree. Husband. I looked at him. A husband who has someone else in his heart. What right does he have to stop his wife from seeking happiness? Zane Jiyu was left speechless by my words. Moreover, I continued. If you don't agree, I'll report your affair with Vivi Lin to the political commissar and let the organization decide who is right and who is wrong. Zane Gu's face turned pale. How dare you threaten me? This is not a threat, it's a fact. I looked at him. Zane Jiyu, you choose. Either divorce with dignity, or make a scene that will be the talk of the town. Zane Jiyu looked at me. His eyes filled with despair. He never imagined that the gentle Ruby Sue would become so resolute. I need time to think. Give you a week. I glanced at my watch. In a week, I want your answer. That week, Zane Jiyu seemed like a completely different person. He hovered around me every day, asking if I was warm or cold, making all kinds of delicious food, and buying various small gifts. But my heart was already dead. Some feelings, once missed, can never be found again. A week later, Zane Jiyu handed me a document with red eyes. This is the divorce agreement. His voice trembled. I've already signed it. I took the document and read through it. The agreement is simple. The house goes to me. The savings are split equally, with no other demands. Thank you. I signed my name. Zane Jiyu watched me sign, and tears finally streamed down his face. Ruby, I really regret it. If regret were useful, there would be no regrets in the world. I put away the agreement. Zane Jiyu, I wish you find true happiness. My happiness is you. No, your happiness is Vivi Lin. I looked at him. Go find her before she completely forgets you. Zane Jiyu froze. I mean everyone should pursue the life they want. I stood up. You want her. I want freedom. Isn't that just perfect? Zane Jiyu looked at me. His eyes filled with complex emotions. Gratitude, guilt, reluctance, and relief. Ruby, if there's a next life, there is no next life. I interrupted him. Zane Jiyu, cherish this one. On the day the divorce was finalized, I sent a telegram to Fang Jiyuan. Jiyuan, I'm free. Ruby, soon. I received a reply. Congratulations, my bride. Jiyuan, reading this telegram, I smiled. Yes, I am finally free, free to love someone worthy, free to pursue my own happiness. On the third day after the divorce, I packed my luggage and prepared to leave the military compound. This place holds too many painful memories for me. Leaving now, I feel an unprecedented sense of relief. Zhong Shuhua came to see me off, her eyes filled with reluctance. Ruby, are you really leaving? Yeah. Starting a new life, I said with a smile. I heard you're getting married to that doctor from the provincial capital. Yes, I nodded. He's a very good person. Zhong Shuhua looked at me, hesitating to speak. Just say what's on your mind. I encouraged her. Ruby, actually, we can all see that the chief loves you. Loves me. I shook my head. If he loved me, there wouldn't have been the Vivilin incident. But he is in great pain now, drinking every day and not eating. That's his choice. I said calmly, everyone must take responsibility for their own choices. Zhong Shuhua sighed. Maybe you're right. The car arrived. It was sent by Su Zhongwo to pick me up. I carried my luggage onto the car and took one last look at the place where I had lived for over a year. Zane Jiyu stood not far away, silently watching me. Our eyes met in the air. He wanted to come over, but I shook my head to stop him. Ruby, his voice was very low, but I still heard it. I smiled at him without saying a word. Some words are useless even when spoken. The car started and gradually moved away from the military compound. I didn't look back, because I knew there was nothing left there worth holding on to. On the train, I wrote a letter to Fang Jiyuan. Jiyuan, I have already left that place. We will meet soon, and I am looking forward to our future. After finishing the letter, I looked out the window at the fleeting scenery, feeling a sense of relief I had never experienced before, having been reborn. I have finally learned to live for myself. Arriving in the provincial capital, Fang Jiyuan came to pick me up in person. Upon seeing me, a warm smile appeared on his face. Ruby, welcome home. Home, I repeated the word, feeling a warmth in my heart. Yes, with him, anywhere can be home. Our wedding was very simple, with only close relatives from both families attending, but I felt very happy because this is the life I chose for myself. At the wedding, Fang Jiyuan said to me, Ruby, thank you for giving me the chance to love you for a lifetime. With tears streaming down my face, I nodded. Thank you for making me believe in love again. In the audience, my parents were crying tears of joy. They were overjoyed that I had found true happiness. On our wedding night, Fang Jiyuan held me gently in his arms. Ruby, forget the past, let's just look to the future. Okay, I leaned into his embrace. From today on, I belong only to you. That night, I slept especially soundly. No worries, no fears, only overflowing happiness and a sense of security. The next day when I woke up, Fang Jiyuan had already prepared breakfast. My bride, time to get up and eat. Watching his busy figure, I suddenly thought of Zane Jiyu. He had never made breakfast for me, and he rarely even cared about whether I had eaten or not. Yet, Fang Jiyuan treats these as part of his daily life. This must be the difference. Those who love you will place you in the most important position in their hearts. Those who don't love you won't even let you play a supporting role in their lives. During breakfast, Fang Jiyuan asked me, Ruby, do you want to continue your studies? Studies? Yes, I think you're very smart and shouldn't waste all your time on housework. My heart felt a warm glow. Zane Jiyu always complains that I'm uneducated, but he never encourages me to study, and Fang Jiyuan, on his own initiative, suggested that I improve myself. I want to study medicine, I said, and become a doctor like you. Good idea. Fang Jiyuan smiled. I can be your teacher. Just like that, I began a new life. During the day, I study medicine with Fang Jiyuan, and at night, I help him organize medical records. Although it's tiring, I feel very fulfilled, because I am working hard to become a better version of myself. 6 months later, I received a letter from the Northern Military Region. The sender is Zhong Shuhua. Upon opening it, it read, Ruby, I have some news for you. Zane Jiyu has applied for a transfer to the Provincial Military Hospital, reportedly to win back Vivi Lin. However, I heard that Vivi Lin already has a boyfriend, who is a very good doctor. Zane Jiyu is in a lot of pain now, drinking heavily every day. Seeing him like this, we all feel sorry for him, but we also know it's his own doing. How are you doing now? I heard you're studying medicine. I'm really happy for you. After reading the letter, I felt a mix of emotions. Zhang Jiyu finally went after the person he truly wanted. Although the outcome wasn't what he hoped for, at least he was brave this time. What letter? Fang Jiyuan walked over and asked. A letter from a friend. I put the letter away. It's about some things from the past. Is it important? It's not important. I shook my head. Let bygones be bygones. Fang Jiyuan nodded and didn't ask further. That's the good thing about him. He never interferes too much with my past. He trusts me and also gives me enough space. Another month passed, and while I was interning at the hospital, I encountered a familiar figure. It was Vivi Lin. She was wearing a nurse's uniform, still looking young and beautiful, but with a bit more maturity on her face. Seeing me, she paused for a moment, then walked over on her own. Sue, no, I should call you Mrs. Fang now, just call me Ruby, I said with a smile. How are you? I'm doing well, she replied, also smiling. I heard you're studying medicine. Yes, I want to learn some skills. We found a quiet place to sit and chat. Ruby, I want to apologize to you. Vivi Lin's voice was very low. I destroyed your family. You didn't destroy anything. I shook my head. Feelings can't be forced. But, Vivi, I have a question for you. I looked at her. Are you happy now? Very happy. A blissful smile appeared on her face. I have a boyfriend, and he treats me very well. That's enough. I smiled. We've both found our own happiness. Isn't that wonderful? Vivi Lin looked at me. Her eyes filled with gratitude. Sister Ruby, you are truly kind. It's not kindness, it's just that I've come to terms with things. I stood up. Vivi, cherish the happiness you have now. You too. As I was leaving, Vivi Lin suddenly called out to me. Sister Ruby, is Chief Ji-Yu, is he doing all right? I turned to look at her. Are you still thinking about him? No, she shook her head hurriedly. I'm just a little worried. He's doing well. I told a white lie. He's pursuing a new life for himself. Vivi Lin breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. When I got home, I told Fang Jiyuan about this chance encounter. It seems your ex-husband still hasn't forgotten her. Yes, I nodded, but that has nothing to do with me anymore. You won't go soft on me, will you? Fang Jiyuan sounded a bit worried. No, I shook my head. Jiyuan, the one I love is you, only you. Fang Jiyuan pulled me into his arms. Me too. I'll only love you in this lifetime. Hearing his promise, I felt a sense of security like never before. This must be true love. No need for guessing, no need for testing. It's just so certain. So reassuring. A year later, I successfully passed the medical licensing exam. Fang Jiyuan held a celebration for me and invited many friends. Let's toast to Dr. Ruby's success. Everyone raised their glasses to celebrate me. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented sense of achievement. I was no longer a military spouse dependent on my husband for survival, but an independent doctor. I have my own career and my own value. More importantly, I have a husband who truly loves and supports me. After the celebration, Fang Jiyuan said to me, Ruby, I'm proud of you. Thank you, Jiyuan. I leaned into his embrace. Thank you for helping me become a better version of myself. This is what I should do. He gently stroked my hair. To love someone is to help them become a better person. Yes. This is the true meaning of love. It's not about possession, not about restraint, but about fulfillment and support. 2 years later, Fang Jiyuan and I had our own child. She is a lovely daughter who looks like me but has Fang Jiyuan's gentle personality. Watching her sleep quietly in the cradle, I feel an unprecedented happiness. Our little princess is so beautiful. Fang Jiyuan said softly. Yes, I nodded. I hope she meets a man as good as her father when she grows up. Then she must be very lucky. Fang Jiyuan joked, because there aren't many good men like me. We all laughed. Yes, I am indeed very lucky. At the most desperate moment, I met him. He made me believe in love again and rediscover myself. One day, when my daughter had fallen asleep, Fang Jiyuan suddenly said to me, Ruby, if one day your ex-husband wants to see you, would you agree? I thought for a moment. Why would he want to see me? Maybe he wants to apologize. Maybe he wants to seek forgiveness. Apologize. I shook my head. There's no need. Let bygones be bygones. You really don't hate him at all. No, I don't. I looked out the window. Hating someone is too exhausting. I don't want to waste my time. Fang Jiyuan nodded. You're right. Resentment only consumes oneself. And, I continued, if it weren't for his betrayal, I wouldn't have met you, in a way. I should even thank him. Thank him, yes, I smiled. Thank him for making me see what true love is, and what is worth it. Fang Jiyuan pulled me into his arms. Ruby, you've really become very wise. It's you who made me wise. I leaned against his chest. Love makes people grow. Then I also want to thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for choosing me, giving me the chance to love you for a lifetime. Listening to his words, my heart felt warm. Yes, we are all very fortunate. At the right time, we met the right person. 3 years later, we had another son, one son and one daughter, perfectly forming the character, which means good, life is fulfilling, career is successful, and love is blissful. I think, this is the life I want. One day, my daughter pointed to the photo on my dressing table and asked, Mom, who is this? That is the wedding photo of me and Fang Jiyuan. This is Dad and Mom. I told her, Dad is so handsome, and Mom is so beautiful. My daughter said with a smile, you'll never be apart, right? Never. I hugged her, because we truly love each other. What does it mean to truly love each other? I thought to myself, true love means always placing the other person in the most important position in your heart, no matter the time. Are Mom and Dad truly in love? Yes, I said with certainty, we are truly in love. My daughter nodded contentedly. At that moment, I suddenly thought of Zane Gu. I wonder how he is doing now. Has he found his own happiness? Does he still remember our past marriage? However, none of that matters anymore. What matters is that I am very happy now. I have a loving husband, a pair of adorable children, and my own career. That's enough. 15 years later, I encountered an unexpected patient at the hospital. When I pushed open the door to the hospital room and saw the person on the bed, I froze. It was Zane Gu. He had lost a lot of weight. His face was pale, and the usual sparkle in his eyes was gone. Seeing me, he froze as well. Ruby, his voice was very weak. Hello, Mr. Gu. I maintained professional courtesy. I am your attending physician. You're a doctor. He looked at me in disbelief. Yes, I nodded. Let's begin the examination now. I carefully examined him, recorded his condition, and maintained a professional distance throughout the entire process. End-stage liver cirrhosis, I told him truthfully. Caused by long-term heavy drinking. Zane Gu smiled bitterly. I know, quit drinking, nourish your liver, and have regular checkups. I prescribed, take the medication strictly according to the doctor's instructions. Ruby, what did he want to say? I am your doctor. Please call me Dr. Fang. I interrupted him. Zane Gu looked at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions. All right, Dr. Fang. I turned to leave, and he called me back again. Dr. Fang, can I ask you a question? What's the problem? Are you doing well? I stopped in my tracks and looked back at him. Very well. That's good. He nodded. You deserve the best life. I didn't say anything more and left the ward directly. In the corridor, Fang Jiyuan happened to be there to pick me up after work. What's wrong? You don't look too well, he asked with concern. I ran into an old acquaintance. I said briefly, is it him? Fang Jiyuan frowned. Do we need to change doctors? No need. I shook my head. As a doctor, I take responsibility for all my patients. Fang Jiyuan nodded. You're right, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. I know. When I got home, my daughter rushed over and hugged me. Mom, my kindergarten teacher praised me for drawing well today. Awesome. I hugged her back. What did you draw? I drew our family. She took out the drawing. Look, this is Dad, this is Mom, this is me, and this is my little brother. Looking at her innocent drawing, my heart felt warm. Yes, this is my home, warm, happy, and complete. In the following days, I continued to treat Zane Gu. He was very cooperative, taking his medicine on time and getting regular checkups, but I could tell that his will to live was not strong. Mr. Gu, you need to actively cooperate with the treatment, I reminded him. Doctor, to be honest with you, he said with a bitter smile, I've lost the courage to keep living. Why? Because I've lost the most important thing in my life. He looked at me, and it was because of my own foolishness. I know what he's saying, but I maintain my professional composure. Mr. Gu, everyone makes mistakes, but you can't give up on life just because of a mistake. But some mistakes are irreparable, then accept reality and start over. I looked at him. Life is long. Don't let one part of the past ruin your entire future. Zane Gu looked at me, a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes. Dr. Fang, thank you for your guidance. This is what I should do. A month later, Zane Gu's condition had improved. He also seemed much more energetic. Dr. Fang, I want to be discharged, he said. You can, but you need to come back for regular checkups. I reminded him. I know, he nodded. Dr. Fang, I have one last question for you. What's the problem? Can you forgive me? I looked at him and remained silent for a long time. Whether to forgive or not is no longer important, I finally said. What matters is that we all have to take responsibility for our choices. You're right, he nodded. Thank you for saving my life. It's my duty. The day Zane Gu was discharged from the hospital, I didn't go to see him off. But I heard from the nurse that he stood at the hospital entrance for a long time before finally leaving. Perhaps he was saying goodbye to the past. That night, Fang Jiuan asked me, will you still think of him? Occasionally, I answered truthfully, but not missing. Just reflecting. Reflecting on what? Reflecting on the arrangements of fate. I leaned into his embrace. If we had been on good terms back then, perhaps I would never have met you. Would you regret it then? No, I said with certainty, because the life I have now is exactly what I want. Fang Jiuan held me tightly. Me too. The end.